In 44 BC, Rome stood at a crossroads. Julius Caesar, declared dictator perpetuo, held unprecedented power over the ancient world's mightiest republic. On March 15th, 60 senators cornered Caesar in the Curia of Pompey. Crying "Sic semper tyrannis," they struck him 23 times. He fell at Pompey's statue. The assassination backfired catastrophically. Civil war consumed Rome for decades, ending the republic forever. Augustus Caesar rose from the ashes, founding an empire that shaped Western civilization. In 1493, a worn fleet of 3 ships crossed the Atlantic horizon. Columbus had sailed into the unknown, seeking a western route to Asia for the Spanish crown. On March 15, 1493, Columbus sailed into Palos de la Frontera. He carried gold, exotic birds, and indigenous captives, proof of lands no European had charted before. Columbus's return ignited an age of conquest and colonization. It permanently connected 2 hemispheres, reshaping civilizations, trade, and the fate of millions forever. In 1820, the United States faced a crisis. Northern and southern states clashed bitterly over whether new territories would permit slavery. On March 15, 1820, Maine entered the Union as the 23rd state. The Missouri Compromise admitted Maine as free and Missouri as slave, preserving a fragile balance. The compromise delayed civil war by 40 years, but could not erase the divide. Maine's statehood marked both a political achievement and a warning of the conflict ahead. In 1892, American inventor Jesse W. Reno was determined to solve a growing problem: how to move crowds efficiently through multi-level buildings. On March 15, 1892, Reno received a patent for his inclined elevator, a moving angled belt with cleats, the direct ancestor of the modern escalator. Demonstrated at Coney Island in 1896, the Escalator forever transformed department stores and subway systems, carrying billions of passengers worldwide every day. In 1907, Finland stood at a historic crossroads. A new parliament was being formed, and for the first time anywhere on Earth, all women could participate fully. On March 15, 1907, Finnish citizens voted in the world's first truly universal election. 19 women won seats in parliament, candidates and voters alike, without class or racial restriction. Finland's election became a global model for women's suffrage. It proved universal political participation was possible, inspiring movements across Europe and beyond for decades to come. In 1917, Russia was fracturing. Millions had died in World War I, food riots gripped Petrograd, and Tsar Nicholas II's 300-year dynasty teetered on collapse. On March 15th, aboard his imperial train halted by revolutionary forces, Nicholas II signed the abdication document, surrendering the throne and ending Romanov rule forever. The abdication unleashed chaos. Bolsheviks seized power by October, birthing the Soviet Union, reshaping global politics, ideology, and the 20th century entirely. In 1933, a girl named Ruth was born in Brooklyn, New York, raised by a determined mother who believed education was the greatest gift. Ginsburg argued landmark cases before the Supreme Court, dismantling laws that treated men and women unequally, then joined the court herself in 1993. Serving until 2020, Ginsburg became a cultural icon, her dissents and rulings reshaping American equality for generations to come. In 1939, Europe held its breath. Czechoslovakia, a young democracy surrounded by hostile powers, had already lost its border regions to Nazi pressure just months before. On March 15th, German columns crossed the border at dawn. In Berlin, Hitler coerced Czech President Hacha into surrender under threat of total aerial bombardment of Prague. The occupation shattered Europe's appeasement illusions. Britain and France finally understood Hitler's ambitions were limitless, setting the world on the path to war. In 1972, American cinema was restless. A new generation of filmmakers was ready to tell darker, more human stories, and one film was about to change everything. On March 15, 1972, Francis Ford Coppola's The Godfather opened nationwide. Audiences flooded theaters, and the film became the highest-grossing release of its era almost overnight. The Godfather won Best Picture and reshaped Hollywood forever. Its operatic vision of family, power, and loyalty set the template for serious American filmmaking for decades to come. In 1985, the Internet was a quiet network of universities and researchers. Cambridge, Massachusetts was home to Symbolics Inc., a pioneering computer firm. On March 15, 1985, Symbolics.com was registered, the very first .com domain name in history, quietly transforming how the world would organize the internet forever. That single registration launched a domain economy now spanning hundreds of millions of addresses. Every website ever visited traces its lineage to that quiet moment in Cambridge. In 2003, a mysterious pneumonia was quietly spreading across borders. Hospitals in Asia reported patients with severe, unexplained respiratory failure. Something new was emerging. On March 15, the WHO issued its first global health emergency of the century, naming a deadly atypical pneumonia spreading internationally, the disease we'd call SARS. SARS infected 8,000 people across 29 countries. It exposed critical gaps in global pandemic preparedness, gaps the world would urgently revisit when COVID-19 arrived in 2020.